Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Are we going to see a green flash tonight? Look. Woo!
Maybe. Ooh, it's
Basketball is my favorite sport.
No,
I like the way they dribble up and down the court.
Don't ruin
Just
the
knock down
opening.
the king
The
of the
groovy music
microphone.
is so
is Larry
good.
Bird, Moses Malone. I like slam dunks that take me to the hoop. My favorite play is the alley-oop. All right, take it away.
You've gone long-winded today. Is this a sign of things to come? Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 3. My name's Jen Fenton, and I am here with my fabulous husband, Chris Fenton. We are proud empty nesters. We have poured a glass of wine, and we're about to tackle some of the biggest stories shaping our world. I think we might talk a little politics. We might talk a little fun. We're going to banter. We're trying to figure out our cadence a little bit. So we're hoping not to ping pong as much. We're hoping not to have as much ADD. And we are hoping that we still have viewers. Or actually, I guess it would be listeners because nobody's watching.
I am Iron Man.
How is that relevant?
I don't know, because Iron Man was in my head all day today because I was thinking of good movies I've been involved with because a lot of bad ones that I was talking about today came up in conversation. So anyway, I'm just trying to make myself feel better.
Do you need some compliments? Because you look really cute right now.
Well, I have my glasses on and no pants.
He's back to the no pants. What's going on?
Actually, I do have pants on. I just don't have socks on or shoes, which is really nice. I sort of love that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's
and
fair.
You look gorgeous. You are my
thanks.
brown-eyed girl and just such a whippersnapper. I swear it's unbelievable to hear the comments about this podcast, and almost all of them go straight to Jennifer.
Well, what is that?
the
Do people
star.
did people assume that I wasn't smart? Did people think I couldn't keep up with you? You do like to talk.
Yes, I've been told that I talk too much.
Well, remember your name when you were in elementary school? Constant comment.
Yes, it was constant comment. Thank you. Shout out to Mrs. Ashley in 5th grade who called me CC, constant comment.
So, I mean, it tracks.
It does. Yeah, it's never been like a one-hit wonder or a overnight sensation of constant commentary. I've been that since day one.
And loud. I feel like the decibel in our house is always really loud. And Dylan, our son, man, that child talks loud.
He does talk loud, although when Kaylee and he go at it,
Oh,
it gets
she can
pretty loud
scream
too.
even louder. That is true.
And if no one breaks up the insanity, it just
Typically,
gets
then
more
I
insane.
scream louder because I am so fed up with the banter and the screaming back and forth.
Oh my God, any issue between our kids becomes an issue between you and me pretty quickly.
Well, you and I just have different parenting styles.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, yes.
And our kids also, it's funny because while Kaylee might look more like me, she definitely has your personality. And while Dylan, I think, is a carbon copy of you and your brother, he has my personality.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's a little like when there's...
By the way, cheers.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Cheers. What are you
Happy-
having tonight? A Pinot Noir?
I'm having a beautiful Pinot Noir. It's quite light.
Pinot of the night is
That's
what they
your
call
favorite.
it.
That's your
And guess
favorite
what
to
I'm
say.
having? A Côte de
Not
Rhone.
Pinot Noir.
A Côte de Rhone. I love the Côte de Rhones. By the way, the great thing about a Côte de Rhone is you can get one for like literally $12.99 that tastes like a $50 bottle. I love it.
Are we
It's great.
manifesting advertising for this
but it's
podcast?
It's fantastic if you are a wineaholic and need to have a little bit every day.
I don't think you're a wineaholic. I think that you do like a glass with a meal, and that's pretty normal. You're an adult.
I do, and I love to have a glass with my beautiful wife.
Oh, well, we did that.
So what are
definitely
we? Wait. What are we talking about today? We got to figure it out. Oh, we have figured out the banter of what we're going to do on this podcast. Thank you, Phil Brodkin,
And Katie.
and Katie Brodkin for some great ideas. Lots of others with great ideas too. And in fact, we're going to give a shout out to John and Dora Cipher on this episode too, because they were fantastic in our trivia game over the weekend.
They nailed it.
Nailed it.
So did Phil. In all honesty, he is like a
Total savant.
movie savant, 100%. So we were playing this game, and you can actually find it on like YouTube TV. And you had to guess the movie not by the actual scene, but they played somebody spoke the dialogue, and you could actually hear what they were saying, and the characters were saying it back and forth, but you had no context. So it was really just this auditory thing. And honestly, every single time, within seconds, Phil knew exactly which movie.
And it cheered every time because I don't think people normally knew the answers to those riddles, as they say.
No.
It was pretty unbelievable, though, with 3 seconds of dialogue and not really getting clear
Context.
Clear context, except in the case of Cullen, which came up in the 3 seconds. So immediately
And Katie
Katie
got
knew
that.
it was
Yep,
Twilight.
she knew that Twilight.
I knew Psycho and a handful of others. I think, I recognized Brad Pitt's voice once. Man Crush, again, yes. Not just Tom Cruise and Magnolia, but
him and
Brad
F1.
Pitt.
So
no, I'd go
good.
back to Fight Club. That was
Really?
pretty, yeah. He
River
was
runs
badass.
through it. What about that?
No, I'd just go with
you
Fight
ever
Club because he was such a badass.
That's
Anyway.
true. We wanted to watch that, actually. That was on our list to watch.
It was, and then we got diverted to something else.
Magnolia.
Yeah,
And then All the President's Men.
Oh, All the President's Men, fantastic. Well, by the way, this whole trivia game thing came up because when you're sitting around, like, I don't like board games that much. It really makes you have to focus and puts pressure on getting the mental state going. But what we really liked was like this idea of playing like top 80s hits and 90s hits, videos and stuff from the 80s and 90s where we get to go all nostalgia on YouTube. And we're like, I wonder if there's any sort of trivia game
And there was.
that incorporates that
No,
stuff.
there totally was.
Yeah.
I nailed 90s and 2000s. Like, that is my genre.
Yeah.
That's my go-to.
Yeah, I'm sort of an 80s guy. And then on top of it, it reminded me a little bit back in the day, and this was probably predating you, but when I was in college, they had these big trivia boxes that were...
Trivial Pursuit?
No, but they were connected to TVs in the bar, and everybody in the bar had the box, and they would play against each other in the bar.
It's kind of like the original game night.
Yeah, sort of, but it was big, but like it wasn't formally a competition, but like some people paid attention to it, some people didn't. But
Did you ever win? Like a free pitcher of beer?
No, they ended up getting really difficult questions. Like you had to be really, really like trivia savant.
Trivia savvy?
Yes. 100%.
Well, we encountered that. The last game we played, it was some Irish bar, I don't know, quiz thing, and we had to get 75 points, and the 6 of us could only get 60.
Yeah,
they were really hard.
And it felt like we were doing pretty well. And then we
thought
realized
so.
we had a failing grade by the end of it. And that was a failing grade for one person to do it. We did it with 6 of us, which is insane.
But it was still super fun. So thank you for that enjoyable night. All right, should we start talking?
Yeah, well, what are we going to talk about? Like I do think our cadence is going to be, we're going to banter for a bit, which I think we've already been doing a little banter.
Check the box.
Then we go boom, right into
Topic
like
one?
serious discussion about maybe 2 different topics.
Let's see if we can do it.
So today, the 2 topics we wanted to hit were
Tipping.
just the tip or all the way in. We're
Whoa.
talking about
I have
something.
people from my office listening.
What were you thinking I was talking about? I was talking about, do you put the dollar all the way into the thing or you stick it out so they can see that you put that dollar in, right? Have you ever, let's talk about tipping for a second. Have you ever been like, oh, all I got, and this is when they give you a coffee that costs $3 and you're like, okay, I'm going to give them a hard bill, right? I'm not going to go credit card. And you reach in and all you got is a 5, right? You spent $3 on a coffee and you're like, all I got is a 5. And they turn their back and you're going to put the 5 in there, but then you're like, well, wait, I want them to see me put the 5 in. And then you're like waiting for them to turn around and they don't, and then they do, and you put it in there and it drops in and you realize they didn't see it. And you're like, oh.
No, but actually that phenomenon is part of the reason that tipping has kind of skyrocketed. I mean, I did a little research. You know me, I like to do some
I
research.
first of all just say that I went to high school in upstate Connecticut. So the only tipping we had up there was called cow tipping. And we would sneak into farmers' fields late at night after drinking a 6-pack of Bud Light. Or actually back then it was Milwaukee's Best or Coors Light was like our high-end stuff.
Fancy.
We'd get a nice buzz. We'd go into the fields and we'd see a cow.
Was this
and
in high school?
Push
you said?
them
There's
over.
no drinking. There's no drinking. You're supposed to be 21. Are you
No,
admitting?
back then it was 18. Practically.
Are you that old?
Like it was pretty. It was just fresh out of prohibition, so we were legit.
Okay.
But yeah, you would tip a cow over, and they would lie on their side, and they couldn't get up, and like the cow didn't get
sad.
hurt.
I don't like that.
But
No, I don't like
you would
that.
have to get the farmer to pull it back
Okay,
up. And
let's back up. Okay, let's
Okay.
actually talk about this tipping
Am I going
phenomenon.
to get PETA on me about
You
that?
might.
Like, I swear it wasn't me. It was some of my
it
friends
Ray?
that did it. It was Ray or Joe or Matt. I
course.
guarantee it. Or maybe Rob.
Oh,
you know,
that's
you
true.
don't know. He
Rob,
talked me
that's
into a
true.
lot of
Yeah,
bad
that's
stuff.
true. Okay, but can I explain some of the tipping sort of phenomena and where it started and kind of how it's incrementally increased over the last few years?
Just the tipping.
Just the tipping. So in the early 90s, probably to around the pandemic, we are actually seeing what's called a tip creep. So that's actually a terminology that's happening right now, the tip creep. And in the 90s to, I'd say, like the early 2000s, there was a movement that went from like 15% as your standard to probably 20%. And I think that had to do with this like social push to acknowledge economic hardships of your tip workers. I'm just going to talk about tipped workers right now.
Let me just interrupt just quickly. I feel like any dad with a daughter should teach them about the tip creep. Like,
Oh, of course.
You don't want a creep
No, because
from
they're
the tip,
100%.
right? I mean, it
Stop.
has to.
Stop.
Okay.
You can't go there.
All right, sorry.
Chris.
Go back.
Okay, so we've gotten to the 90s and like the early 2000s. COVID saw a huge movement. We were supporting our essential workers. We were also supporting those who faced, unstable work environments, i.e. the people who worked in restaurants, i.e. the people who worked in coffee shops. We were just so excited to have an open establishment that I think people over-tipped in that case. Then you had this like technology expansion, okay? And this is where I think we all get caught. After a few glasses of wine, there is that default tip option at the bottom of a bill. So now you're not doing the calculation, what's 20%? You're just circling something because it's easy. And I think it started out at 18%, but more and more I'm seeing 20% is the lowest option, followed by like 22 to 25%.
Well, we've commented on it,
Right,
like at
upward.
restaurants where we're like, "Hello, like, wait, what? It starts at 18 and goes up, or 20 and goes up to 25." I mean,
But we always tip well. I mean, the people who
Yeah.
are working at restaurants, you worked at a restaurant, so
Oh,
you understand how hard it is.
I overtip all the time at a restaurant, mainly because I know what a biatch that job is.
Right? So you
and how
want
bad
to,
people
but
can
now
be.
there's these automatic options and you kind of feel like an a-hole if you're only doing the 18%. So you automatically kind of go to that obligatory higher amount. This is the clincher. And we kind of talked about this at the coffee shop when you started the segment, is that
I like to say it's the coup de grace.
there you go. Fine. Coffee shops, counter service, whatever it is, there's this social pressure because now you turn the screen around and the person in front of you who's done the service, who's given you the coffee, who you've purchased the food from, says, "Would you like to add a tip?" And there's that automatic option again, and you feel like you are a total jerk if you don't circle, click, check the box, and add tip, right? This is a service that you ordinarily maybe put like $1. $2, but now you're subject to 20% because the person in front of you is looking at you asking if you want a tip.
Well, I'll never forget when I went to Hospitaliano school for General Mills when I got a job waiting tables at the Olive Garden. You had to go for 2 weeks to Hospitaliano school where they taught you the art of the add-on, right? Like if anybody has ever been to a chain, what is that, fast casual or like sit down restaurant?
Do you
but it's
consider
like,
CPK that? Or is it really like the Olive Gardens?
Actually, no, Olive Garden, CPK, Red Lobster, those kind of places.
Does Red Lobster still exist?
I don't know. I think they killed all the shrimp with those. All you can eat shrimp and whatever
The
lobster.
buffets.
But what was interesting is that they taught you, well, first of all, the 2 weeks was all about how you sell add-ons, right? If you're just selling an entree and a soft drink, you're going to get fired. You have to average a certain amount of add-ons per person at each table in order to keep your
interesting.
job. So you have to sell either alcoholic beverages or special beverages like a non-alcoholic smoothie. You got to sell desserts. You got to sell appetizers.
Like the calamari or the meatballs or the tiramisu.
Anything other than the soft drink and the entree. So that was key. But then on top of it, I remember they used to say, hey, look, tips are not guaranteed. You need to go and deserve a tip. You get paid this crappy wage. I forgot what it was, like $4 an hour as a waiter. But they said, you're doing this because you get tips. but tips aren't guaranteed. You
Although-
need to give great service to get a good tip.
Okay, but in some places like France, tip is guaranteed. So they have a built-in, what is it, like 15%, what's it called? Service compris?
Le service is compris, or something like that. It's franglais
very-
for the services
I
comprehensive.
like how you said that.
guess.
But the point is that, there's a built-in quote unquote service charge that's distributed by the employer to the employee. And then if the service is exceptional, you add another, small percentage.
Right, but
So
remember
that's the
also
antithesis.
France is like more. It's a socialist country, right?
Is it?
Like it's not truly a capitalistic. I don't know the exact government thing, but they obviously have a lot more social services. There's a less capitalistic point of view on their joie de vivre, right? So
Okay, well, what
I
about
think-
Canada?
Well,
Because Canada,
also is a
right?
bit
Our,
like
our
that.
son is going to school in Canada, and we've been there several times in the last few weeks, and I think 15% was considered standard, but now it's closer to 20%. Coffee shops, counter services, that's
Okay.
kind of a 10%.
So let's move away from. So first of all, restaurants and bars used to have restaurant and bar service. Like their wages were lower than the minimum wage, right? But if you go to a Starbucks, those can't pay the restaurant bar wage. They have to pay at least minimum, and then on top of it, they pay more than that most of the time. So the tip is really something that was supposed to be very infrequent and only for exceptional service. The problem is now, and I was okay with that little bucket there that
Like the
they
tip
had.
jar.
Yeah, the tip jar. Like if you had extra coins on you or some dollar bills or whatever, you
yeah,
threw
but
it in
now
there.
you look cheap if you do that.
Now, not only do you look cheap, but the amount of money you're putting in there is like it
Nothing
seems
compared to what
insignificant,
you
right?
would do on the electronic. Like, oh, do you want to add a tip? Sure, I'll just add 20% and sign my name electronically because it's just easier and you're standing in front of me.
Exactly. Now, talk about what's even I would call it a tokenization. You know how they're getting kids into gambling on online and on apps because they make it like a game, not like
Yeah.
a casino. Well, I almost look at it the same way. And I went to a school that had a hotel and restaurant management school, and a lot of casino managers and executives and owners came out of that school, and it was all about tokenization of the dollar, right? So if you sit at a table and you tell everybody to take out bills, like $100 bills, $20 bills,
nobody
fives and tens,
carries that with them.
they're not going to throw it on the table like, oh, this is a $25 minimum. I'll take out $25 and put it down to make this bet. But if you give them these tokens, essentially these chips, it doesn't feel like money anymore.
i.e. a credit
right?
card? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
so the credit card is essentially the casino chip that allows people not to feel like they're really spending that hard-earned money on the tip. Now, tip service workers, they work their butts off, right?
they do.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of them that feel that are taking advantage of the ones that work hard, right? So I would like to see it go back to the place where people that really deserve tips get tips, and maybe even bigger tips than ever before. But the ones that are entitled and feel like they should just automatically get a tip, that's ridiculous. It shouldn't work that way. It's almost like an investment banker, right? An investment banker gets a very low base wage, but if
Right.
they close a lot of big deals,
They get
they
their
get these
bonuses.
huge
Sure.
bonuses. But those bonuses aren't guaranteed.
they're
They
not.
have to go out and make that
Oh, yeah,
stuff
they gotta
happen,
close.
right?
They gotta close.
Same thing with a tip service. And I get it. Some people have to make a living off of this stuff, and we have to figure out how to really reward the people in the service business that deliver a great service.
I'd be super curious because in London, there's not really that added tip. I think when you go to a restaurant, and again, I'm obviously focusing on a few jobs and industries here, primarily food and some of the hotel, whatever. At restaurants, they typically have a built-in service charge of like 10 to 15%, and there's no expectation to add anything further. So I wonder if you actually did a study, right, and you looked at people in London, people in the US, and if you implemented the UK system here, I wonder how much they would make. And I wonder if people would feel obligated to do an additional tip amount, even on top of that 12 to 15%. Would they go to the 22%, 25%, 30%? Or do you think that they would sort of ceiling out at the 20%?
I don't know. I think it's an interesting question. I don't know and it also comes down to whether employers are taking advantage of the tipping too, because can employers get away with paying less knowing that customers are willing to tip more?
Well, there's still minimum wage.
There's definitely minimum
there's
wage.
only, you can't go below
Correct.
a certain point. That's your
Correct,
threshold.
but I think a lot of these places used to pay higher than that, right? Imagine if In-N-Out Burger started taking tips, right? Because In-N-Out Burger is known
Don't
for
they?
paying. They pay like $25 an hour.
Do they really?
Oh, they're extremely good at paying their employees. If they suddenly were taking tips, which I don't think In-N-Out Burger would do, then they might feel inclined to maybe bring it down to 20 because they're going, oh, well, customers are paying extra for that. But in a way, it's a tax on customers, right? Like I like this $25 an hour thing that In-N-Out Burger does, whereas you still get this amazing deal with this amazing food. In-N-Out, shout out to anybody that hasn't had any In-N-Out. You got to get out to California and try it. Although there's a handful of places that have them. Like
Yeah, we're getting it.
TCU has one on campus. Holy
We know
cow.
that. Not in California, though.
Anyway, it's a fascinating subject. I feel like it has gotten a little out of control. It's something that I think we need to all take a look at and go, wait a minute, where is this going? Are we okay with it? Or should we have some sort of a pushback to it a little bit?
Again, I want to emphasize, and I think you would agree with me, that we want the workers to get the money. We want them to
100%.
do exceptional service. We want to reward that exceptional service.
Well, for instance, you know who should really get tips?
Who?
Have you ever been in a hospital? Have you ever seen how hard nurses
we
work?
have. They work so hard.
Oh my gosh. Those people, let me tell you.
Emergency
How about when
room?
we had our twins at Cedar Sinai? All we thought about was how amazing those people were.
the whole staff.
And all they asked was like, oh, will you donate, like to put your name, put your name on a little board, in there to give another $500 or whatever it was to, there was no way to tip these people that were like extraordinary individuals.
I think we did get them gifts when we left.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you think about the
what
service that we
they are
got
giving
and
to
what they're
humanity.
doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that's the fun part when they get to do that stuff. But I mean,
no, I think they
heaven
conversely
forbid,
see the worst more often.
yeah, like what they do is they
Thank you
deserve
to
huge
the
tips.
essential workers.
Yes, and healthcare workers. Yep. Shout out. Anyway, what's the next really serious subject we're going to talk about?
Well, we saw a little bit of it when AI or when computer programs or platforms that we rely on go absolutely haywire. So I think we're going to talk about this reliance on AI.
AI is the future. We are going to take all of your jobs and take your cognitive ability to analyze things critically away from you, so you become dependent on us. And when the internet goes down, you suddenly have no answer for your boss when they ask you a question in a staff meeting.
Wow, that went on a really long time.
I don't know who that was. It was some weird AI generated robot that just popped in the middle of this thing. No, but it was interesting to wake up this morning and the first thing that popped up was this AWS is out. Right. No internet, no Substack, no blah, 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 applications, all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, there's a lot of kids that were probably in the middle of, maybe not early in the morning, maybe they were pulling an all-nighter of like writing a term paper, because right now is midterms for a lot of kids in college and in high school. Suddenly they can't write anymore because
they
working.
can't. They can, and I think that there is this differentiation between the older demographics and your younger demographics, right? Your older demographics outside of that, like 17 to 25. I'm going to put that as kind of our threshold. So to the right of it would be your older than 25. To the left of it would be younger than 17. I think your older demographic still knows how to write. They still know how to research. They still know how to compile their thoughts. They still know how to articulate, communicate, analyze, all of that. Whether or not we use AI and are reliant on AI, I use AI every single day. I will acknowledge it. I am an intelligent human. I went to college. I went to law school. But I do have these critical thinking skills that have been honed and developed over the years. Your kids who are younger, in that 17 to 25 haven't had the same experience developing those skills, doing the critical thinking, doing the analysis, even doing the writing and the communication. So I think those are the people that probably got screwed. But what you're seeing actually on the younger side, right? Oh, there's our dog. You can hear his little collar in the water.
Seriously, Flynn, do you have to eat right now? We are in the middle of a podcast.
This is Plate and Ponder. He wants to join.
Oh my God, he is. Well, I'm going to have a sip of wine while he does that. Okay, here we go.
All right, but going back to this younger demographic, I think there is this pendulum swing. You know, I'm at board meetings and I see elementary school parents coming in droves asking for a technology committee to be formed because they want to pull back the use of technology in classrooms. During COVID, we all got so reliant on the iPad or the laptop or the computer. So it's an interesting thing. Parents are saying, no, we don't want this anymore.
Well, I have two important points.
Yeah.
One is it's magic hour and you are magically beautiful right now. Like I'm
You
literally
are so complimentary.
No, but I'm
during
looking
these podcasts.
Well, when you're like winging all this really smart stuff.
Again, do people just not think I'm smart?
No, but you're so animated and beautiful and perky in a lot of ways, and you're wearing that white T-shirt, which I love, and then on top of it, I'm looking at the ocean behind you and just the waves
gorgeous.
and everything. It's just beautiful. So that was point number one.
Okay.
Point number two is that this whole AI thing reminds me. Do you remember? And I'll divulge this to the audience. I was fired when what happened? Oh, we were starting. My old partner and I, we were starting a business, and we hadn't told our bosses yet, and they found out, and they locked us out of our offices. And we had to start our business after they locked the doors on us and locked all our stuff, so we couldn't take it.
I managed to get the Rolodex.
Yes, you got the Rolodex. Yes, you went in and snuck out the Rolodex.
Feel like sneaking things out of the Louvre. Right?
We
like
started
just putting it under my purse.
But the funny part is we started in his garage, and we didn't have actually, heaven forbid, we had to share an assistant, you know, and it was like, oh my God, I've had my own assistant. And this is going to sound like really snobby, but trust me,
Is this a humble brag?
No, this is not a humble brag because I haven't had an assistant, like a human assistant.
Me? I feel like I'm your assistant sometimes.
Oh my God, I'm your plus one assistant all the time. Anyway, I haven't had an assistant and a dedicated assistant in 20 years. But that first, when we were first getting used to sharing an assistant, it was drastic because I had gotten so used to an assistant, which in the Hollywood business is essentially a secretary, but they do a lot of other stuff.
Executive functions.
And they're trying to get promoted, so they're doing all kinds of extra stuff outside.
And they're listening to your calls, and they're
yeah.
trying to learn the business.
But they do everything for you, from getting your dry cleaning to making your airline reservations to paying your bills to
booking our dates,
booking dates and putting your expenses through and everything, and meetings and rescheduling, all that stuff, right? But to do that, to get to a position where you had an assistant that did that, you had to do that all yourself. Right. So there was a time when you knew how to do all that stuff yourself, and you got really good at it because eventually you got promoted not to have to do that anymore. But then if you go 10 years with somebody doing that for you,
you get accustomed to it.
You get completely overwhelmed when suddenly somebody's like, we don't have that anymore. Okay. And you're saying to wrap it up, but I'm telling you now.
I want to get into some of the nitty-gritty.
AI is a bit of that.
We joked in the first episode.
If we get used to using AI, you will stop using the part of the brain that is so important to being human.
Okay, and do you want me to talk about it from the educational standpoint?
Yes, I want you to talk about it from the part that makes you the sexiest and most intelligent. Okay, because you got magic hour right now. It's glowing on you. Go, you're on.
Woo! All right. From the educational standpoint, I think AI can be this double-edged sword, right? And you're seeing it, and I kind of want to present it in two different contexts. So I'm going to give you an example, right? You're in a classroom. The teacher is teaching multiplication of fractions. We're just going to use that as an example, right? And Chris is in the classroom, and he's trying to follow along. And you don't raise your hand because you have a question, right? Maybe you feel embarrassed to. But class ends. You do your homework, you turn in the homework the next day, you don't really get feedback on it immediately, right? Then the teacher moves from the multiplication of fractions to the division of fractions. So you kind of have to master the concept from the day before until you can understand and really grasp the concept that's being taught today. And now you are feeling 2 days behind. You are just not getting this, right? But you're not raising your hand. You're not asking a question. You're not turning to the person who's sitting next to you and asking because, again, you're embarrassed, right? So then the teacher gives a quiz and all of a sudden your score is like 0. You fail. And it's kind of like this perplexed, what happened here? Right? So I'm going to tell you how you can use AI in that standpoint to actually close the achievement gap. So there are all these tools that educators do use. They're looking, another one of them is called iReady, and it's one that I know the charter school that I work at uses, as well as the district that I'm on school board for. And iReady is kind of like this curriculum assessment for reading and for math. And it's essentially a workbook with problems. So I'm going to assign to you problems 1 through 4. I might assign to the person next to you 14 through 17, right? Depending on their level. It's a very personalized instruction. It's like tailored strategies. And as kids go through the questions, they're getting this regurgitation of information. It might be taught a different way. And they're getting these problems that they have to keep practicing on until they master those skills, right? And if they don't master those skills, it automatically lets the teacher know there is some sort of issue here. Maybe there's a gap in knowledge. Maybe there's an issue in the way I'm conveying the information. You have an up-to-date ability to provide an intervention. Maybe it's saying, hey, Chris, why don't you stay after class?
Wait. So how involved, I mean, this is fascinating to me, but like, is this alleviating what the teacher is responsible to do? Because it seems like they get to just sit and watch.
No, and they're not.
Control.
No. They're absolutely not. They're teaching initially, and then they're using these AI programs to supplement and to help sort of drill down the curriculum that the kids are learning.
Because I have seen articles where like literally kids are using AI to write a paper, then the teachers are using AI to grade the paper, then it goes back and forth and it's just machines.
Right. And by the way, when you look at that, you've lost all human interaction. Like education in and of itself is about connections, right? It's about that teacher. It's about that peer-to-peer contact. And when you're doing something to that extreme, there's no connectedness.
Could AI ever create 10 Jennifer Fentons for me, like robot dolls
would you really want that?
Interact?
I think you would be so frustrated. You'd be like, oh my God, she's riding my ass about the stupid dishes once again.
No, but you could program them not to ride your ass about stuff and just be like the sexy version without.
Do you think this is Austin Powers? I'm remembering that scene.
Oh, it's shagalicious. All right, so
that's how you can use it. I know at the charter school we use AI to actually develop critical thinking, right? So our teachers do a ton of PD on this. They do a ton of professional development, whether they are in math, whether they're in science, whether they're in reading. And the idea is we have these tools, and these tools provide us with data that allows us to change course, allows us to give you new problems that test your knowledge or advance you, kind of that idea of personalized learning, right? But we also teach our teachers and our educators to look for these critical thinking skills, which are so important.
Okay.
Let me tell you what a critical thinking skill is. It's like
hear.
independent think time. So a teacher goes over a lesson and says, I want you to think about this. How does this novel relate to X, Y, and Z? Right? Stop. It can be quiet. There doesn't have to be the constant comment of talking. Let's have independent think time. Then there's going to be this collaboration.
I would not do well in independent think time.
No, then there's going to be this guided interaction where I'm going to say, Chris, turn to your neighbor. Have a conversation. Hear what they have to say. Share what you have to say. And it's this teaching and this back and forth and this sharing of ideas and also missteps, right? You could share something and I'm like, oh no, that's so not what the author was trying to say. And it's this back and forth. And then there's something like an exit ticket where a teacher determines kind of whether the student understands that information that was conveyed in class today, and then can assign additional problems at home to reiterate that lesson. Or again, can assign other questions to push the student forward. right? So there's this use of AI that can be really helpful in education.
Okay, so I get the part of education that you're hitting on, which is so sophisticatedly smart. Like you're hitting on it in a way that sounds really
It's like data-backed decisions.
right. It sounds theoretically perfect in a lot of ways, and I hope it works that way. But the other part of high school that I think, or junior high, or even elementary, that I'm definitely concerned about is the part, like Mark Twain used to say, I never let academics interfere with my education, right? What's happening away from the academics when it comes to AI? Like, are we able to throw them all in the playground in elementary school and take away all their phones and make them go play and run around and do crazy, dirty things?
After the pandemic, no, it was weird.
Like, don't we need to do that? And then in high school, like, are we able to still have the goth group and the drama group and the athlete group and the homecomings and the football games and all that stuff? Like, that stuff is so important for the matriculation into
for
adulthood
the development,
of
right?
some sort.
The emotional and the social development. And I think after we came back from the pandemic and school closures and very much an online based world, there was this weird awkwardness. People didn't know how to communicate. People didn't know, how to talk to the person at the table next to them. It was weird. So schools all across the nation have put in a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of services to develop this culture of care where kids feel connected to others. Kids feel connected to, an adult on campus. It could be the PE coach, it could be the history teacher, it could be your admin. But the idea is that there has to be some sort of human interaction.
I agree. And there's sometimes where I literally think you put a ball in a dusty field and let the kids run around and kick it, to like throw them in a sandbox. Like, there's certain things where if you just go rudimentary, like I remember, like, we've taken our kids on crazy vacations and non-crazy vacations or whatever, but like those times when we just take them to the beach and they go swimming in the waves.
Best day ever.
And it costs $0 and they just had fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I hope all of this still allows that ability just to be a basic human being in a social environment.
Well, we have to get off our devices. We have to stop
like the devices we're using right now.
Oh, 100%. No, we are equally responsible for it, but
Yeah.
we have to continue to push those critical thinking skills. We have to continue to push those interactions. We have to be able to develop our own mindset, not just based on what TikTok tells me in a 30-second video.
We're at 37 minutes, and we just covered two great subjects. And I'm proud of you because you are beautiful to look at when you're really smart and doing all kinds of crazy talking that, like, use words, the like gregarious and like things that
I don't
I'm
know
just
if
like,
I use that word. Maybe it's in your head.
Okay, well, some word like some gargantuan or something. I don't know what the word was, but I was like, whoa, she just rattled that off in the middle of like all these statistics about education things that I'm sure like are going to blow away some of the people that know this stuff way better
Or
than
they're
me.
going to be like, fast forward, delete.
I mean, the goal with this podcast is obviously to hit on expert areas that one
know about.
One of us knows something about, but do it in a way that like everybody can engage with.
I mean,
right?
I can talk
Like,
shopping if you want.
because we are going to talk a lot of China. We're going to talk a lot of media business in the important like two topic sections of this. But on top of it, I want to know, what are we going to do now? Because it is magic hour's over and we're finishing up the podcast. Like, what are we looking forward to now? Because we are empty nesters. We have a dog.
We are empty nesters.
I'm sort of excited about the next hour. What are we going to go do?
I think we finish this glass of wine and we take our dog for a walk.
Yeah, along the Strand.
I love it.
Listening into the waves.
So good.
And just talking and gazing into each other's eyes.
I don't know if I'll have anything else to say. I feel like I might be talked out.
I know we might get a little. You're gonna you will definitely get irritated with me. I know. Hopefully
Probably.
we walk into or run into somebody we know and
Deflection.
they can deflect it or whatever. Or oh no, the other one that's really good is like every once in a while you get irritated with me on a walk and Flynn sees some friend and starts sniffing his ass and like. I'm like, oh, look, it's like, you're mad at me, but look at the dogs. They're having so much fun, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, that's not going to make me forget how irritated I am. I'm like, well, if I sit there and pay attention to it long enough, and maybe if I pick up his poo 2 times in a row, you'll forget, right?
It's like the shiny object. Look at me, look at me.
Oh my God, a shiny spoon. Anyway.
We can share the shiny spoon the next time.
Ooh, next topic.
That's a good one.
Excellent. Hey, we just want to thank everybody for listening. It's been pretty awesome. We have been having a lot of fun doing this, and the comments have been great. The amount of downloads
Keep
have been
listening,
insane.
please.
Like, we're not a tree just falling in the woods. You know what I'm saying? Woo!
Have a good night. Bye.
We're gonna hold on to what we got. It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. Good night. We love you guys. Till next time.